things continue to get worse and worse for Bud Light. You guys know I live in the Nashville area. Here in the neighborhood I live in, we had a fun concert over the weekend. And I was the MC. I was introducing the 3 different bands that played. Buck was down here with his wife, Carrie. We had a good time hanging out. And I started an experiment. In the area that I was, there was an open bar, and there was a cooler filled with beer. The cooler primarily had Yuengling, Mick Ultra, and Bud Light. Now, we can probably mix in my videos that we can share with this explanation of it. It's 6:45. Experiment here. There appear to be 3 different types of beer in this cooler. Franklin, Tennessee, Yuengling, Ultra, and Bud Light. 6:45. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to come back and record this at 9:45 and show you what's left. And I understand for all you people who are like, well, Ultra's still the same company. I understand. I understand the argument, I think. I think it's the same company. All right, I'll be back in a little while. See you all. All right, it's now 10:15. I'm not a marketing expert, but the only beer left at the West Fest VIP, whatever you want to call it, event, Bud Light. Not ideal. Not about 6:45 or so that evening, I went over to the beer cooler and I lifted it up and I showed everybody what it looked like inside. And there were actually some ranch waters in there. There were actually probably 5 or so different beer or alcohol-related drinks similar to that in the cooler. And I said, hey, here's my hypothesis. I think that we are going to go and end up with every beer gone except for Bud Light. Then I sat there, I watched people come and go and get drinks. I told the bartenders, I asked them, I was like, hey, you guys aren't going to restock this cooler? They're like, no, this is the, beer. There's probably, it's a big cooler, over 100 beers, I would say, probably easily, maybe 200. It's a big cooler filled with beer. I came back a little bit after 10 o'clock to officially review it. And I've been going back and getting more beers over the course of the evening. And I looked at it, and all that was left that you could see was Bud Light. Everybody was consciously choosing not to get Bud Light. Now, some of those people were getting Ultra, and I understand. Ultra is also an Anheuser-Busch brand. Understood. But people were overwhelmingly rejecting Bud Light. And I think this is happening nationwide now because if you drink a Bud Light, you feel like you are making a statement about trans issues now. And that your friends are going to make fun of you for being woke now if you are drinking a Bud Light. And I think this is a major branding issue for Bud Light. Because again, this is a small anecdotal sample size of what people in my part of the country are thinking at this particular event. I'm not saying it's a representative sample of the rest of the nation, but we know Bud Light volume has declined by 26%. And we also know it's fair to say my audience probably over-indexes for beer drinkers, and it definitely over-indexes for Republicans and sports fans, right? You were just like, hey, what do Clay Travis's fans do more than the general public? Watch football, yes. Drink beer, yes. Vote for Donald Trump, yes. That's probably all true, right? Guess what? That's also true for the entire Southeastern Conference, for instance. I am giving you a prediction right now. I bet that there will be hardly any, certainly compared to past years, Bud Light at Southeastern Conference tailgates this fall. I think if you go around to SEC tailgates this fall and you were to sample the amount of Bud Light that is available at all these different tailgates, usually, let's be honest, Bud Light, kind of a staple, average, generic light beer that would be substantially available at many different tailgates, NFL and SEC, Big 12, ACC, anywhere in the red state footprint, I think it's going to vanish. And to a degree that's never occurred before in my life. That's what I think this sample size is showing us. And if I were Bud Light, and I've said this before, I would go all in on right-leaning audiences at this point. I'd probably have to spend overall way more money across the board, but I would be spending money like crazy if I were Bud Light with places like my audience where people have a super negative view of the brand now. Because I don't think this is a short-term issue. I think this is a potential long-term disaster now because the brand is directly associated now with trans-related issues, and people are like, why would I drink Bud Light? Now, maybe you drink Mick Ultra instead, which is the same parent company. Maybe you end up buying another brand, but what a mess. Unmitigated disaster for Bud Light. Again, small, not top-of-mind sample size, but you can go watch what the audience in my particular community is doing and how they're responding.